There are countless racetracks in the world, spanning the globe from Germany to Japan to America and everywhere in between. Spa, Laguna Seca, Suzuka, and the Nurburgring. Tracks steeped in legend. We remember the famous corners like the Corkscrew, the Senna S, and Eau Rouge. We watch modern heroes battle it out around miles of snaking asphalt, death potentially lurking over every rise and around every bend. They're mythical places. This isn't a story about any of those, though. This is about the strangest and most dangerous racetracks in the world, and chances are you've never even heard of them. Let's back up a second. Racetracks come in lots of different shapes and sizes, with different layouts and surface materials suited to different types of racing. There's another type of track that doesn't get as much attention though: test tracks. Test tracks have been around at least since 1914, when the Dodge brothers started using their wooden plank track that was built next to the factory. A simple, small oval with an incline section to simulate hills. Eventually they evolved from a simple track to expansive proving grounds. Hundreds of acres dedicated to driving, from different inclines, simulated rough surfaces, off-road sections, and of course, the high-speed tracks. Not every manufacturer could afford a large test track, and even if they could, for many European companies, there simply wasn't enough land. Enter Fiat, the pride of Italy. Completed in 1923 in the city of Turin, the Lingotto factory was the largest automotive plant in the world. At 5 stories high and well over a quarter mile in length, it was, and still is, a behemoth. Unlike other factories of the time that were built over multiple stories, the Lingotto factory used a moving assembly line, spiraling from the bottom to the top. Raw materials would enter the ground level, and one level after another they would get transformed into different components and assembled into a functional automobile. Once the completed car came out of the top, it was time to test it out. On the roof of a 5-story building. Yeah. To be fair, the wall on the outside of the track is fairly tall, but still, it's a racetrack on a roof. But it gets better. It wasn't the only one. 2 other tracks were built in similar ways shortly after the public unveiling of the Lingotto factory. Both completed 5 years after the Italian plant, with the Palacio Chrysler opening in Argentina being very similar in concept. A 1-mile oval encircled the rooftop, with seating for over 3,000 people at its center. It was more circular in shape, with banking the whole way round. The most extreme track of the 3, and possibly the most insane track ever built, came from a company you've never heard of: Imperia. They're Belgian, look it up. They had a factory in They had a factory in Belgium and tested their cars on the local roads, but after complaints from the locals, Imperia decided to build a track on the factory grounds. It started on one side of the main factory, wove between some smaller buildings around the outside of the property, then turned up a ramp onto the factory roof, banking around, then back down to ground level. The banking on the roof had no wall, none. Imagine someone working for a modern car manufacturer walking into a boardroom meeting and pitching the idea of building a racetrack encircling the property, and why not build a ramp to do a lap on the roof while we're at it? Wall? No, thank you. The locals went from complaining about the cars to turning up to the local hillside to watch the new cars get tested, and they needed a lot of testing. Unfortunately, not much of it remains today. The Lingotto factory, however, still exists, and people even still drive on it, on occasion.